On June 4, 2008, in Mesa, Arizona, Travis Alexander was at home, specifically in the bathroom, when he was suddenly struck by a treacherous stab. He tried to defend himself with all his strength, attempting to understand the reason for this sudden violence that had crossed the boundaries of brutality. As he endured severe stabbings, wrestling with pain and shock, his memory struggled to recall how things had escalated to this tragic point. With each passing second, thoughts raced through his mind amidst a terrifying scene of explosive anger and the severe betrayal that began to reveal itself in a frightening clarity. The handsome young man lay on the ground, surrendering to his fate, and lost consciousness, concluding the bloody scene with a gunshot that settled in his head, extinguishing his breath forever. He had sustained over 20 stabs that transcended the limits of humanity, and his red blood colored the corners and fell like heavy rain on the white floor. The firearm, now resting in the hand of the assailant, bore witness to the end of their story. In a moment of dreadful silence, a wave of guilt and panic swept over the perpetrator, but it was too late. Who is this fierce killer, and what fueled the anger in his heart to the extent that he decided to end Travis's life in such a brutal manner? Travis Alexander was a handsome young man with mesmerizing blue eyes, possessing a heart that pulsated with life and a soul filled with energy and aspirations. Born on July 8, 1977, in Riverside, California, he had an open and comfortable nature from a young age. Travis's childhood was neither easy nor ordinary, as he grew up in a troubled environment where his father used drugs, leading him into a spiral of challenges and difficulties. He ended up living with his grandmother and siblings in a home where money was insufficient to meet all their needs. Despite these harsh conditions, Travis did not give up. He completed his education with passion and determination and entered the business field where he excelled in the art of persuasion and public speaking. He worked as a sales representative for major companies and gained fame for his exceptional skills. A promising future awaited him, filled with opportunities and challenges he was prepared to face with confidence and resolve. Despite his great energy and cheerful spirit, he also had a sensitive and romantic side, sharing with everyone he knew a passion for books, arts, and psychology. He was always proactive in helping others, and his personality was of the first-class social type, which helped him build a wide circle of acquaintances and friends. Travis met a beautiful girl with enchanting blonde hair and striking features named Jodi Arias. Jodi came from a middle-class family in California, and behind this beauty was a rebellious spirit that had been stirring inside her since adolescence. In her youth, Jodi began to exhibit hostile behavior toward her parents, seeking a different path than the one they had laid out for her. One day, while still in 8th grade, her mother discovered a marijuana plant hidden in her room, causing the mother to tremble in shock and decide to inform her father. The father's reaction was equally furious. He decided to teach his rebellious daughter a harsh lesson through decisive steps. The father made an unexpected decision and reported his daughter to the police, marking the beginning of a significant turning point in Jodi's life as she realized that her defiance would not go unpunished. During her adolescence, Jodi worked as a waitress in her parents' restaurant and always wanted to appear as a girl who had lived a life full of difficulties. Brian Scolo, the author of a book about her story with Travis, stated, "Jodi always sought to portray herself as a victim of physical and emotional violence from her parents. However, no evidence was found to support her claims during her later trial. Upon reaching the age of 18, Jodi decided to drop out of school and leave her parents' home with a man significantly older than her. Yet, this relationship did not last long, and soon Jodi found herself struggling in a turbulent journey, searching for a path that would define her future. One day, while browsing the internet, she came across a multi-level marketing organization in Palm Springs and felt that this opportunity could be what she sought. So she packed her bags and headed there, hoping to find success in this new field. All these experiences and challenges shaped Jodi's character as she encountered Travis, where the exciting events would alter the course of her life in unimaginable ways. Their time together was filled with beautiful moments and tensions laden with disputes. Travis was romantic and ambitious, while Jodi, with her beauty and rebellious spirit, formed an interesting duo. Little did she know that this journey would lead her to a grim fate, where she would meet the love of her life and her future victim, Travis Alexander. Jodi Arias met Travis Alexander in September 2006 at a conference for the multi-level marketing company Rapid Legal in Las Vegas, Nevada. Travis was a successful sales representative and a prominent member of the company, captivated by Jodi's beauty and self-confidence. Through the meetings and events organized by the company, their relationship quickly developed, and they began to communicate regularly and spend time together, leading to the emergence of a romantic relationship. It was Travis who initiated the courtship with Jodi, introducing himself to her. He then took her to one of the parties, where he introduced her to managers and people from a completely different social class than she was used to. Jodi was enchanted by the way Travis spoke, his life, and those around him, seeing in him the man she had always dreamed of marrying, not just a casual relationship. By the end of the night, they exchanged phone numbers and each returned to their home, with Jodi's house situated 4 hours from Travis's. Their relationship continued over the phone for a month until they decided to meet at a small hotel. With this step, their relationship escalated to a new level, transcending words of love and care into a sexual relationship. Their ties deepened significantly, yet a major obstacle stood in Jodi's way toward a lifelong commitment to Travis, as she did not belong to the Mormon faith he was devoted to. Thus, Travis invited her to read more about the Mormons, hoping she would get closer to their teachings. Jodi immediately began reading about the faith, driven by her deep desire to draw closer to Travis. In her dreams, Jodi envisioned a plan for marriage and stability with him, but Travis was unaware of those secret plans. According to Mormon traditions, it was not permissible to engage in sexual relations outside of marriage. Travis was living a double life. On one hand, he was a believing Mormon committed to his faith's teachings, while on the other hand, he was a young man who flirted, dated girls, and engaged in premarital sex. When a young Mormon wishes to marry, they usually look for a girl from the faith who shares their customs and ideas to raise their children along the same path. Although Jodi requested to join the Mormons out of love for Travis and accompanied him to their church where she joined the faith, this was not enough to make Travis see her as a potential future wife. For him, their relationship was purely physical and did not extend beyond that framework. Jodi began to inundate Travis with calls and text messages incessantly. According to Professor Healing, one of the journalists who investigated the case, he was the chosen man for her, and she envisioned standing beside him on their wedding day. It became clear to Travis that Jodi was very serious about their relationship, contrasting sharply with his feelings. Anxiety began to consume him, and he decided to ignore her, until the day arrived when she knocked on his door to find her standing on his doorstep. She told him she had been nearby and decided to stop by, asking for permission to enter. He welcomed her in and they spent the night together. Jodi was insistent on continuing the relationship, hoping to be his chosen wife, to the point she frankly told him that she wanted him only for herself and didn't want any other woman to share him. For him, the matter was settled. It was just a casual relationship he wanted to end. She also noticed that he had stopped introducing her to people at social events as his girlfriend, and she began to feel that he was deliberately ignoring her. It became evident that he only wanted to satisfy his desires from her, leading to a relationship with no future whatsoever. The foreman of the jury at the trial in the summer of 2007 stated, "Travis felt he was in a dangerous relationship, as Jodi was obsessively attached to him, prompting him to decide to end that relationship. He called her and clearly communicated his decision." Jodi responded, struggling with tears, that she completely understood and absolved him of any responsibility towards her. His friend Daniel Verman remarked, "For him, it was just an unsuccessful relationship that he ended and moved on with his life." However, for Jodi, it was not the same. She had gone mad. In a desperate attempt to maintain their relationship, Jodi moved to Mesa, Arizona, where Travis lived. She would do anything to stay close to him, even volunteering to clean his house, for which he paid her. Travis exploited the situation, continuing a sexual relationship with her, while insisting that their romantic bond had completely finished. Jodi then began dating a Mormon girl named Lisa Andres, who possessed qualities that would make her a future wife, as she shared the same beliefs and ideas. Jodi discovered this and sent an anonymous email to Lisa's account containing insults and warnings that she was wasting her time being involved with Travis. Everyone knew that Jodi was behind the message, marking it as the first step in a series of actions that made Travis, and those around him realized that something was seriously wrong with Jodi. She was not a normal woman at all. After several days, Travis found all 4 of his car tires deliberately punctured. She also began to sneak into his house while he was away. Investigators later found in her notebook words expressing her obsessive attachment to Travis. At the end of March 2008, Jodi left Arizona and returned to Northern California to live with her grandmother in an effort to end her year-long obsession with Travis. On the other hand, Travis had broken up with Lisa and started a new relationship with the woman he had always dreamed of dating, Mimi, whom he saw at church. Mimi was ideal for him, beautiful, attractive, and following Mormon teachings. Mimi had not yet decided to start a romantic relationship with him. Thus, even when they traveled together, they booked separate rooms as part of their plan to travel to Canyon in Mexico. Travis was still maintaining a long-distance relationship with Jodi over the phone, taking advantage of her deep love for him. He didn't treat her kindly. On the contrary, during one argument, Travis lost his temper and sent her messages filled with the most vile insults, stating that she was the worst thing that happened to him in his life and that she was worthless. What he didn't know was that she had been recording those words, and some of them were played in court later on. When news of Travis's trip to Mexico with Mimi reached Jodi, she was certainly not pleased. Travis was dating a new woman and was going to Mexico for a trip. The life she desired with the man she loved was being lived by another woman instead. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. She decided to end his life before the scheduled trip on June 10th. Over a week before the fateful journey, a burglary occurred at Jodi's grandmother's house, and among the stolen items was a gun. It later became clear that Jodi had staged this burglary to use the gun in her crime. She dyed her blonde hair brown, and on June 2nd, she rented a car in Redding, California, 100 miles away from her home. Jodi began executing a complex plan to hide the traces of her trip to Mesa, where Travis lived. She removed the front license plate from the car and inverted the rear plate to make it unreadable. She filled 3 5-gallon gas containers to avoid stopping for fuel and turned off her cell phone to prevent investigators from tracking her movements later. The trip took approximately 15 hours by car. She arrived at Travis's house at 4:01 a.m. and entered a code into the front keypad, allowing her to quietly enter the house through the garage. When she reached his bedroom, she stood before him, and instead of Travis being startled, he took the encounter as a joke and spent the rest of the night together in bed. Jodi had brought a camera with her and started taking photos of them together as well as photos of Travis by himself. In the morning, Travis went to take a shower, and Jodi followed him with the camera, capturing a picture of him in his last moments before she attacked him. Travis attempted to resist, causing injuries to her hand, but she managed to overpower him. Although he was larger and stronger, she delivered a very strong first blow and utilized the element of surprise. After the crime, Jodi placed the blood-stained clothes and the camera in the washing machine and left her camera in the house, which was one of the biggest mistakes she made. Investigators found the camera, and photos were extracted from it despite being submerged in water, thanks to forensic experts. Additionally, they discovered drops of her blood at the crime scene. For several days, Travis's friends and family tried to contact him to no avail, so Mimi and a group of friends went to his house, only to find him dead in the bathroom. Everyone was shocked, and when investigators asked them about a suspect in their opinion, the answer was unanimously Jodi, his troubled ex-girlfriend. The investigators began gathering evidence to apprehend the suspect, and the family began preparing for Travis's funeral. But the greatest surprise came when Jodi attended the funeral, stirring astonishment and suspicion among everyone. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Jodi initially denied the charge, but when confronted with the photographs, she started inventing stories about intruders who killed Travis before her eyes. During the trial, Jodi claimed that she killed the victim in self-defense, but the jury was not convinced by her narrative. They found her guilty of first-degree murder, which meant they considered the crime intentional and premeditated. The jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision regarding the death penalty and, consequently, it was not imposed. As a result, Jodi Arias was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning she would spend the rest of her life in prison without a chance for parole.